Hey guys, I'm Bushwhack18 and today we're going to discuss what matters when you're shopping for a gaming TV. Oh my god! First, I gotta let you know I stream live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come on over, have a good time. All right, let's get right into it. When we're discussing gaming TV, and what that means, first and foremost, is a TV, obviously, that is going to be primarily used for gaming. I've come up with a list of 5 things. 5 things that you should be looking for when making that purchase. And let's just start off by saying the past 2 years, in the TV market, TVs have become very close to gaming monitors in terms of the gaming features. Very close. Like maybe 5 years ago, if you'd be having this conversation, there's a gigantic difference between your average TV and your average gaming monitor in 4 out of these 5 categories that I have for you today. So we'll take note of those. That bridge has shortened. It's gotten a lot shorter. It's really closer than it's ever been, and it's only going to get closer. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about when gaming on a TV is input lag. You can find input lag on just about any TV review. You might be thinking it's going to be measured in milliseconds, so you might be thinking, what's a good number in milliseconds for input lag on a TV? What's normal? In years past, you could expect somewhere around 50 milliseconds of input lag on a TV, which is not good. It's okay for, some exploration type games, but anything competitive, first person shooters, that's not good. You're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage, especially if you're playing against someone on a gaming monitor. The number you want to look for is below 15 milliseconds. If you can get input lag under 15 milliseconds on a TV, it's going to be just about indistinguishable from a gaming monitor. We'll get into refresh rate later, but the higher the refresh rate goes, the lower that latency is going to drop. So if at 60 hertz, the latency is around 15 milliseconds. It's going to be about half that at 120 hertz if you can find a TV that does that. But yeah, look for that input lag number. Look for a couple reviews, because different reviews might have different testing methods that might not have a consistent result. So try and take a few of them and see what they say about the snappiness, the feel, the input lag, all that stuff. The second thing we're going to look for in a gaming TV is going to be the response time. Now, response time often gets confused with input lag when you're discussing particularly monitors. You hear that a lot, but also gaming TVs. If you've ever gone shopping for a high-end gaming monitor, you might see a little number on the box that says 1 millisecond, or the more common one's probably 4 milliseconds. That has nothing to do with input lag. That's response time. What the response time means is it's basically the amount of time it takes for a pixel to change colors. So where that applies with gaming, it's actually extremely important, because in a game, say you're playing a first-person shooter, and you are looking left and right with your character. If you have a 10 millisecond response time for your pixels, when you move left and right, when you look left and right, it's going to be really blurry. Really blurry. So the lower response time, the clearer that motion's going to look. So if you hear gunshots behind you, you make a fast move and turn your character around, that movement is going to be much clearer with a lower response time. So that's going to be very key for gaming, very important. Never underestimate the value of low response time. And don't forget, it's not input lag. Input lag is literally the amount of time it takes for me to press button than for thing to happen on screen. That's input lag. Response time is more of a visual blur sensation. High response times are bad. Very bad for gaming. Third thing I want to talk about is high refresh rates. So in the past, like I said, that archaic age and technology of 5 years ago, a TV might say 120 hertz, 240 hertz on it, but really back then that was fake. That wasn't real. That was interpolation. That's the TV using a processing system to input frames that aren't real into the content, to make it appear smoother. Okay. And that works well with things like movies because you can kind of predict what's going to happen. But with an unpredictable format like a video game where you can move any way at any time, all it does is add an intense amount of input lag and doesn't really add to the visual experience at all. So that's 5 years ago. All right. Interpolation is bad. Now, in this day and age, the past 2 years, what we have is legitimate high refresh rate TVs. So I know the Samsungs of last year all went to 120 hertz at pretty much 1080p or 1440p. And most TVs this year, I mean, you're going to want to, before you buy anything, you're going to want to make sure you look this up and confirm that it's a legitimate high refresh rate. Most TVs do 120 hertz this year. And the one I'm gaming on, the LG C9, is actually capable of 4K 120 hertz. We just don't have a source to push those pixels and refresh rate yet. We need a new GPU or next generation consoles. But some of the newer Samsungs, I believe, and the newer LGs, 2019s, are future proof in that regard. They have HDMI 2.1, which has the bandwidth to do high res and high refresh rate. Okay. So, number 4. The number 4 thing that has changed in TVs recently that you want to look for if you're buying one for gaming is the adaptive sync. So, more commonly known in the PC gaming world as FreeSync or G-Sync. A lot of TVs have it. Samsung's gone with FreeSync, mostly, and that will work now with the Xbox One X on most TVs. You can use adaptive sync on console on the Xbox One X. The LG OLED series 2019 have made their panels G-Sync compatible, which means it's basically G-Sync. There's some minor differences between G-Sync compatible and G-Sync. Actual G-Sync monitors will have a legit chip in them that does all the work and all this stuff. They claim it's better. I have a G-Sync monitor here, G-Sync monitor here. This TV is G-Sync compatible. I couldn't tell you visually that there's a difference in the smoothness of the frames when they're fluctuating. The adaptive sync seems to work the same on all of them to me. So I don't know. I'm sure there's someone who knows more about it who could break it down and make it seem a lot more different, and they could make it sound like the chip is a lot more valuable. But practically, I haven't seen a difference. The number 5 thing we're looking for in a gaming TV, and this is a bonus and an edge over most monitors, and that's HDR. So there's a lot of games right now you can play in HDR. There's not a ton of good HDR monitors out there. Good HDR monitors. So they have the VESA HDR standard of 400, 600, and 1000. 400 and 600 are kind of useless in terms of HDR because the idea is they're not reaching the effective brightness to really give you that HDR effect. You really want to hit around 1000 nits unless you're gaming on an OLED. Since OLEDs can get completely dark, they don't need to get as bright to establish that HDR contrast. So LG C9 hits 800 some nits. It's close to that 1000 mark, but it literally gets perfectly black, which means the contrast is insane and HDR content really pops. But the reason this is a bonus is because you're going to have a harder time finding a good HDR monitor. And if you do find like a really good HDR 1000 monitor, I guarantee you'll be able to find a gaming TV that's probably a better, value price-wise. Overall, you're going to be getting more screen. You're going to be getting TV features. You're going to have built-in smart TV, all that stuff, all the benefits of TV. You're going to have a nice remote, all that stuff, in addition to just the gaming monitor technologies. And the HDR is going to be more complete on TVs. HDR has been a staple of TVs for a little while now, and you can find a lot of good, high-quality HDR TVs. And that, for me, that's a bonus. I don't game in HDR a lot. Like, my favorite HDR game is Resident Evil 7, because that game is a good test for HDR, because it's very dark, and it's got very bright spots, and it's a good contrast, and it's a good test to see how good the HDR on your panel is. And I think you'll find that there's a lot more TVs out there that support really good HDR than monitors, and TVs generally, price per inch of real estate on the screen, much better value. And now, especially since they're competing in areas like input lag, response time, high refresh, and adaptive sync. So if you go back and watch, I challenge you to do this, go back and watch a 5 or 6 year old video that says what is the difference between a gaming monitor and a TV, and those top 4 things are going to be listed right there. Input lag, response time, high refresh rate, and adaptive sync. Those are the 4 things that separated PC monitors from TVs. And now, a lot of the TVs in 2019 have all 4, plus probably better HDR implementation, and the added bonus of smart TV features. So, that's that. Guys, my name is Bushwhack18. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll answer as quickly as possible. I stream live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thanks for hanging out. Peace out. 1, 2. Oh my God!
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on